Welcome. So, when you're ready, make your way to an easy pose, sitting legs crossed on a blanket or block. You can sit on your shins or lay down if that's what you crave. Once you're comfortable, we'll begin in our easy meditation. Just a reminder, there's absolutely no pressure to feel like you have a perfect meditation practice. It is simply just taking the time to bring your attention and awareness inwards on your muscles and bones and allow your wandering thoughts to dissipate as you practice your focus. And it takes time, no pressure. Wherever you are, take a deep breath in through the nose, exhale out through the mouth. Once more, with eyes closed or a soft gaze, begin to bring your attention down to your toes as we perform a body scan. Begin to deepen the breath and let your attention just begin to notice any sensations across the toes and the feet. Maybe you can feel you're wearing socks, or maybe your feet are cold. Maybe your muscles are tired, you've been walking a lot. Any of these sensations that you can suddenly or over time just begin to become aware of. From here, bring your attention higher into the legs. Again, scanning through the legs, through the calves, shins, knees, and thighs for any sensations that may come up. Maybe just noticing the way your clothes feel against your skin, or maybe going deeper and listening to any story that your muscles and bones have to tell. From here, bring the attention higher into your core. Begin to notice your belly, back, and breath. Taking deeper breaths, slow, long inhales and exhales. And scanning through your core, noticing your posture in this moment, on this day. If it's a bit forwards or maybe leaning back or to the side, that's okay. Just become aware of wherever you are. From here, begin to bring your attention up through the shoulders and down into the arms, hands, and fingers. Relaxing the shoulders away from the ears, creating space for the neck. And just let the arms hang heavy by your side as you continue to scan through your muscles and bones for any sensations or feelings. And without judgment, just begin to notice where you are and how you feel in this moment. And finally, bringing your attention up through your neck, into the head. I invite you to relax the muscles around the eyes, ears, and mouth, letting any facial expression melt off the surface of your skin. There is no need to smile or frown in your meditation. Lengthening from the crown of your head as you sit up tall. I invite you to take your attention deeper as you observe the breath. You can use various breathing techniques, following our visual, imagining the wave. Inhale, the wave goes up. Exhale, the wave goes down. Using the wave in your mind's eye to represent a balanced, equal breath. You can also try counting. Just mentally inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Creating a fluid, even tempo. Focusing on the part of your yoga that is your pranayama, just your breath work, just the focus on the inhales and the exhales. If you are alive, if you are breathing, then you can do yoga. With eyes still closed or a soft gaze, I invite you to set an intention for today's practice. It can be a word, affirmation, prayer, quote, number, color, symbol, anything that brings you meaning in this moment. You can say that to yourself, picture it in your mind's eye. And with an exhale, let it go into the room around you. From here, I invite you to bring the chin to the chest and ever so slowly begin to roll the head. As you inhale, open up, look up. Exhale, round the head down. Taking your time, moving slowly. There's no rush here. Moving as fast or as slow as you crave. And exhale, reverse, going in the opposite direction. Inhale, back through center. From here, if you're sitting on a block or a blanket, I kindly ask you move that aside. And we'll continue moving through our practice today. Today's practice is what I like to call a 50-50 or half and half. So there's a little bit of vinyasa flow, connecting to the breath, connecting to our body through our typical asana or physical postures. And then the second half of the class is a yin style class. So slow and deep meditative postures. We'll be in those poses for 3 to 5 minutes and more on that later. To begin, we'll just get started warming up, synchronizing the body and the breath. Inhale as you look up, reach up. Exhale, twist to the right. Inhale through center. Exhale, twist to the left. Looking over the left shoulder as you twist. Creating the twist from your core. So too often the head wants to think we're doing the twist, but really it's the core, using the lumbar spine to really support the movement here. Exhale, twist to the left. Inhale through center. One more time, each side. Inhale back through center. From here, we will roll over the shins as we make our way to a tabletop position. And from tabletop position, just get comfortable with your foundation. As always, it's so important to check in with your connection to the mat. So give yourself time to play with your balance, adjust through your hands, and really get comfortable here as you notice if you were maybe shifting the weight into one hand or maybe leaning further into your legs or vice versa. Just take the time to really be mindful of where you're putting your body weight and practice an even distribution of your body weight. From here, we're going to use the core as we move to inhale, lift our hips up to the sky like we have a string pulling our tailbone up as we make our way to a down dog. Give yourself a few breaths here. If this is the first down dog of the day, or if it's been a while, just show some love. You can bend the knees, take your time. Big deep breaths as you settle in. Coming up on the toes, you can bend the knees and sit back into the heels to go deeper. Or you can shift the weight left and right, walk it out as they say. On an exhale, using your core strength, slow and controlled, begin to make your way to a plank. Drop the knees and sit back into a child's pose. Pause in child's pose for a moment, active child's pose. So really taking the energy through the fingers all the way as you reach towards the top of the mat, activating through the arms, shoulders, and back. The forehead can rest on the mat beneath you, and using the stomach muscles to pump your breath. Making any micro movements that feel good, any craving that you feel, just follow that intuition. And when you're ready, using your core, make your way back up to a plank. And exhale, sit back to a down dog. From here, inhale, lead right leg to the sky. And slow and controlled, bring the right knee to next to the right hand. Whew, for a low lunge. So in low lunge, you can drop the left knee here and just take a moment to let yourself be here in a lunge, connecting with the hips. Wiggle around and feel what is nice, weird, different. Just continuing constantly through the body scan. From here, we're going to lift up off of the left knee and using our core strength, pushing away from the mat, we're going to gently bring the right leg back to the sky for three-legged dog. Lifting from the glute to hold that leg there, and slow and controlled, bring the right leg down to the mat. From here, using the core, slow and controlled, come to a plank, drop the knees, sit back to a child's pose. On an inhale, make your way up through plank and lift the hips to three-legged dog. From here, we'll bring the left leg to the sky, lifting from the glute. Inhale, pause for a moment in three-legged dog, distributing the weight evenly through your grounded appendages. And then slow and controlled, left foot comes to the top of the mat for a low lunge. Drop the right knee. Big deep breath here. Wiggle it out. Move any way you crave, or if it's stillness that you need, you can be still. Just follow your deep breaths as you stay here. From here, take the right knee off the mat. Slow and controlled. Tuck the left foot back as you sit back to a down dog. You can breathe in through the nose or out through the mouth. Or you can breathe fully through the nose, depending on if it's spring in your area, allergies are bad, whatever's available for your lung capacity today. On an inhale, look up towards the top of the mat. Exhale, step, walk, or jump to a forward fold. Once here in forward fold, I invite you to take the legs mat width distance. So while we're here, you can bend the knees and really allow yourself to hang heavy in your forward fold. The beauty of a physical yoga practice or asana is the balance between the body effort and relinquishing that effort, finding ease as gravity does the other part of work. So you can really feel that in a forward fold. As you let yourself hang heavy, you can decompress throughout the neck, lengthen through the hamstrings, release any tightness in the lower back. You can bring the arms behind your head if that feels comfortable. Holding hands, you can drop the arms and stretch through the shoulders. Adding a little wiggle or sway if that feels good. Or if stillness is what you crave, be still. Exhale, slow and control. Release the hands wherever you are. Slowly begin to heel toe as you walk the feet toward hip width distance. And then slow and controlled, begin to make your way up to a standing pose. Once in your standing pose, take the time to adjust in your Tadasana, your mountain pose. So as always, not just hanging out, talking to someone, really bring your mindfulness from the toes, through the calves, thighs, core. Open the shoulders. A few deep breaths here. Eyes can be closed or a soft gaze as you once more scan through the body and And just notice where you are physically and mentally. On an inhale, look up, reach up. Exhale, sit the hips back as you drop into your chair pose. So much like squats in your traditional physical workout class, you're sitting back into the heels. So we're not leaning into the toes. We want the toes kind of off the mat. Hands can be on your waist, at your heart, or overhead. Sitting into the hips. Trust that there's actually a chair there behind you, building up the strength and the fire. Big deep breaths here. Exhale, hands can come to heart or to waist. We're going to shift to the right leg as we bring the left leg up in front of us to hover. You can bring it up to 90 degrees with the knee or extend all the way out, leg out, if that's available. And wherever you are, slow and controlled, begin to move the left leg behind you as you transition to a high lunge. Slow and controlled. Once in your high lunge, inhale, lengthen as you open up, reach up. Maybe go for a little back bend here. And exhale, twist to the right. Inhale through center. Exhale, twist to the left. Inhale through center. Exhale, hands to your waist. We're going to drop the left heel as we open the hips towards the left, making our way to warrior two. Remember, the back is squeezing the shoulders together. The glutes are opening up the hips as we settle in to our warrior two. Arms out to a T. Gaze is just past your right fingertips. Big deep breath here. Inhale as you look up, reach up, opening through the right side of the body. The left hand just hovers over left leg. We're not putting any weight into our left hand. Lengthening from your core. Exhale, right hand hovers over right leg as your left arm reaches up and over, lengthening from the left side of the body. Inhale through center. From here, we're going to exhale, drop our weight down to the mat as we sit the hips to the inside of the right heel. Flexing through your left leg to protect your knee, getting a beautiful stretch on the internal left thigh. Adding a bit of a challenge here, you can keep your hands on your waist or at prayer at heart center. We're going to slow and controlled shift our weight to the opposite side. You can do this through kind of a crab crawl or maybe test your balance today. Coming to hands at prayer, you can stay low as you shift the weight from side to side, if that's available to you. Ooh, maybe not for me today, but just an option. Again, flexing through the extended leg, just to ensure protection of our joints. And sitting on the inside of our heel as we sit. Slow and controlled, walk the hands to center as the hips come up for a wide leg forward fold. You can hold on to your ankles as you pull yourself into a forward fold. Slow and controlled inhale, make your way up. And stepping to the top of the mat. Whew. Coming back to your Tadasana. From here, inhale, look up as you reach up. Exhale, sit back into your chair pose. Big, deep breath. Wherever your hands are in your chair, waist, heart, or overhead, really lift the heart up, squeeze the back as you sit into your glutes, lifting the toes off the mat so you're not leaning too far forward. Big, deep breath. From here, shift the weight into the left leg as the right leg comes to hover. We can stay here at 90 degrees with the right leg or extending the right leg out if that is available. Wherever you are, strong, slow, and controlled, begin to shift your weight back as you make your way to a high lunge. Inhale, arms overhead as you look up, reach up, opening from the upper vertebrae as you look back. Exhale, twist to the left. Inhale through center. Exhale, twist to the right. Inhale through center. From here, dropping the right heel as we sit into our left side warrior two. Hips are open, heart is open. Squeezing from the glutes and the shoulders. We're opening through the front side of our body as we drop into our lunge. Weight is equally distributed through the left and right leg. Gaze just past your left fingertips. Inhale as you look up, reach up, open up. Again, lengthening from the left side of the body. Exhale, left arm hovers over left leg. Right arm reaches overhead. Inhale through center. Exhale, cartwheel the hands towards the mat. As you push into the hands, just enough to bring the feet to meet. Drop the knees as you sit back into your child's pose. You can wiggle it out here, making any micro movements that feel good, or just being still if that's what you crave. Having some water, that's nice. So at this point, we'll begin the other half of today's practice, the yin portion. So we'll hold these poses for 3 to 5 minutes, depending on the pose. But it is important to consider that this is different than your vinyasa. It's not aimed at getting the heart rate up, but the challenge is rooted in the mind and staying in these, what can be difficult poses, because the mental challenge or the mental response is to get out. So as long as you're not feeling sharp shooting pains, if it's like a steady hug or that intensity that comes from a deep stretch that you are familiar with, I invite you to stay deeper. But if you are taking care of injuries or have any body awareness of your own that you know about, you can take what you feel comfortable with and jump back in whenever you feel ready. To begin, we'll start with the back opener. So taking it in many levels, we're going to lay out onto the mat and come into what is called a Sphinx pose. So with the shoulders stacked above the elbows. So we want to keep our hands stacked up tall, hands out wide to support us. Taking a few moments here to settle in. Legs can be wide or together, whatever feels comfortable. The goal is coming in your lower vertebrae, so opening up across the lower portion of the back. We'll be here for 5 minutes. Taking deep breaths, I invite you to begin to close the eyes or soften the gaze. taking your time to settle in. And what might not be obvious in the beginning may come over time. So if the intensity isn't there the second you jump into the pose, that's okay. That's why we stay in this posture as long as we do. Trusting that the longer we're here, the slower, more constructive the stretch can be, in that it is not something that is for the superficial muscles, but for the deep connective tissues to really take their time, for the harder tissues of our body to take the time it needs to open up and create space. For the upper back and neck, you can begin to look up if that feels comfortable, or just take the time to maybe explore, making micro movements as they feel available. You can gently plug the shoulders into the back and use this time to also create space for the neck. And as you rotate the head around, you can begin to find the space in the neck that maybe needs more attention, or find what works for you here. About halfway here, taking a few deep breaths, allowing yourself to be here, be still. Your breath is your guide, so long, deep, steady inhales and exhales. Again, with Sphinx pose in particular, there is the option to make micro movements and wiggle around throughout the neck, and just listening to any moments throughout the neck and vertebrae that kind of needs more attention. And you can use the focus here to also open up throughout the throat and upper vertebrae. And then when you find a sweet spot, settle in and be still. About 10 more deep breaths here. Taking your time, you can slowly begin to move out ever so gracefully. It is typical in these poses to feel a bit vulnerable afterwards. So take a moment here. I invite you to roll onto your back and rebound for a moment on your back. And from here, we can transition into our next pose. Shifting the hips to the right, begin to move the, excuse me, watching out for furniture and water bottles. Move the hands and feet to the left, creating this C shape with our bodies, lengthening what can almost feel, depending on your tightness, from the right elbow all the way through the core, down through the hips, even into the IT band throughout the legs. So the only thing to remember here is that you want to keep your shoulders and hips flat and square to the mat. So we're not rocking up to one side. We want to keep our hips flat and our shoulders flat, but we can wiggle as time allows to move deeper into our what's called banana pose in yin yoga, or maybe something like a crescent pose, finding that C shape that feels available to you. And as long as you feel the stretch across the right side of the body, continue here wherever you feel comfortable. If you find you've gone too deep too soon, you can back off a few centimeters, soften the intensity, and wait. As time passes, the body will open and you can eventually go deeper. Using your breath as your guide and your tool to create space and open up throughout the body, using the stomach to pump the breath, you can stay mindful and actively present in your practice. Coming back to that element of pranayama. So the part of yoga that is just our breath work. You can incorporate that here in your yin practice, when the attention doesn't have to focus on the body moving dynamically or staying balanced, and you have the time and attention to focus on other aspects of your practice, such as your breathing. So as I mentioned before, these types of poses aren't for the superficial muscles, the quadriceps, the biceps, these muscles that respond well to your general exercise that can help and benefit in movement. Your yin practice is for the deeper connective tissues, the tendons, the ligaments, the parts of our anatomy that are deeper and a little more stubborn, and they take time to open up and take care of. So treating your yin practice like body maintenance, you can really help yourself understand your other yoga practice or just any other activity you may do, because it keeps you connected and helping with injury prevention and general body maintenance. About halfway, a little over halfway here. So maybe after this time you find you can wiggle a bit deeper, adjusting yourself into the pose for a few more breaths here. And when you're ready, slow and controlled, make your way out. Again, the body can feel vulnerable after these poses, so just take your time. If you're ready, you can rebound, or if you want to follow me, going right back into the opposite side, pushing the hips towards the left. Now the hands and feet come to the right. So our crescent pose, opening up the opposite side. Again, keeping the shoulders and the hips flat to the mat. We're not rocking up onto one side of the body, But as we lay flat on the ground, can we just bring our hands and feet to one side to lengthen throughout the side body? And again, the challenge in yin might not always be the physical aspect, that your body may find these poses achievable and available, but it might be, in many cases, the mind that either craves adrenaline and, that cardio intensity, and understanding that intensity can come in many different shapes and sizes, and inviting the mind to be still might be the hardest challenge for some in their yin practice. So if that applies to you, maybe bring balance into your life, and once a week or every so often give yourself the challenge of being still in your body and slowly taking the time to open up, being with your breath, calming the mind as you invite something different into your lifestyle. About halfway here. And as you reach these halfway points, you may also find that you can go a little bit deeper as time passes. So there might have been resistance at first in this pose, but as time passes, you can kind of wiggle yourself a little further, a little deeper into the pose. And trusting the process as the body will open up. Another thing to keep in mind in your yin practice, this is the type of yoga, the type of stretching, if you will, that will dramatically enhance your physical flexibility. So your typical asana, vinyasa, or hatha class, that is really only maintaining your physical flexible range. But if you do want to go deeper and really change your body in terms of flexibility, consistent yin practice can be a way to help you get more comfortable with your stretching. And if that's just a goal of yours, or if that's something that is kind of a means to an end that would change your overall well-being, whatever your goals are for your body, if flexibility is a part of that, then yin can be a tool to get you there. Just a couple more breaths here. Again, using those stomach muscles to pump breath. Slow and controlled. Begin to come out. Taking your time. We'll take the hands to the knees and slowly begin to rock ourselves up. And from here, we're going to make our way into a saddle pose. So taking our time to get there. If you have blocks or pillows, they might come in handy. So maybe keep any blocks, blankets, or pillows nearby. But to begin, we're going to bring our right foot to the outside of our right hip. Going for a quadricep stretch here. This might be your maximum, just hanging out right here. Your hips are flat on the mat. Your right foot is to the outside of your right hip. If this is your maximum, or you know you're treating a knee injury or something, just stay here. This is it. If you feel the stretch here, that's great. If you want to go deeper, you can drop to the forearms. Again, taking your time here, maybe even dropping the head, opening up throughout the chest. And if you want to try going to the full expression or intensity, you can come all the way down to the mat. So this could be considered level 3, your forearms being level 2, and up on your hands, level 1. We'll only be here for a couple minutes. This is one of the shorter poses because it is more intense. So just take your time here. And if you have blocks or blankets, you can kind of use those maybe to help you get a little bit of a halfway point. Maybe you're between the forearms and the floor, and just adding some blankets and blocks or pillows can help you find maybe 2.5 before you get to a full 3. The goal of the stretch here in your half saddle being opening up the front side of the quadricep, maybe even into the hip. Big deep breaths here. Slow and controlled. Begin to make your way out wherever you are. Shifting the weight to the left side, you can release the right leg. And then taking your time, bringing the left leg or foot to the outside of the left hip. And then adjusting from here. So half saddle on the left, you can bring yourself just on your hands here if that's available. Forearms, if that's maybe something a little more comfortable. Halfway could be with a block or blanket. And if over time you might find it's possible to come all the way down onto the mat. Making micro adjustments, but really allowing your body to settle in and be still here. And the same for the mind. If it begins to occur that racing thoughts begin the second you sit still, use this practice to calm the mind, either through a breathing technique, through the pranayama we have discussed throughout today's practice, or just a simple body scan, constantly being a witness to what is happening in your body, practicing discipline in your attention and focus, and giving yourself the space to be in control of your mind and your thoughts, instead of your thoughts being in control. It takes time and it takes practice, but it is a goal worth having. So we're in these poses for a little bit shorter time because they are quite intense. But afterwards, we will go into a full expression of saddle pose. So just giving yourself the time and space to let the body open and be in that balance of effort and ease. So as you lay down on the mat, can you release any tension that doesn't serve you? On the way up, you can release the legs for just a mini moment, just to shake it out. And then preparing for full expression of your saddle pose. If you're practicing on hardwoods, a blanket or something is nice, but if you're on carpet, it should be fine. I like to just bring the feet back, sit the hips between the heels, and then with the intensity of 2, you might come in handy to have the blocks or something nearby just to assist. So knowing wherever, if it's on the hands, on the forearms, laying back, or maybe something stacked in between. It takes a few times to adjust, but just giving yourself the patience to practice and find what works for you. Palms facing the sky as the heart is open. Big, deep breaths. If you feel the inspiration to adjust a little bit, you can do so. Find what works for you. That might have been too intense too soon. Haven't done this one in a while, so it is a little, it happens. Just being patient with your body and your mind as you practice being still. About 2 more minutes here. This is the last pose of today's practice. So really being patient with yourself and your body. When you're ready, slow and controlled, begin to make your way up. Coming to a tabletop position. You can kind of rebound for a moment. And then when you're ready, we'll come all the way down to the mat, making our way to our final Shavasana. So if you would like blankets or pillow, sweater or socks, anything to help you completely surrender, now is the time to get those things. Moving cautiously, maybe noticing a little bit of vulnerability in the muscles and bones. That's okay. We'll sit that out in a Shavasana pose. So once here, laying down on the mat, you can bring the arms and legs out wide by your side. Eyes are closed or soft gaze. I invite you to bring your attention down to your toes, relaxing the feet as they fall open naturally. Bringing your awareness through the calves, knees, and thighs. Begin to soften the muscles of the legs, relaxing the hips as you melt into the mat beneath you. The belly is soft as the breath moves naturally. There's no need to control or manipulate your breathing any longer. The heart is open as you gently squeeze the shoulders beneath your back. You can bring the arms out wide by your side. Palms face the sky as the fingers relax, knowing there's no need to hold, flex, or squeeze anything else in today's practice. And finally, bringing your attention to the head, relaxing the muscles around the eyes, ears, and mouth, letting any facial expression melt away from the surface of your skin. We come to our Shavasana pose to allow our bodies to absorb everything we've performed in our practice today. We also come to this pose as a bookend to anchor our practice before we go on into our lives in the world. Shavasana is for the nervous system, for the mind. So bringing your attention somewhere between the eyebrows, focusing on the darkness behind your eyelids, just the space that you know, the only place that you can go. I invite you to imagine yourself like a stone at the bottom of a river, steady, still, and unmoving. Your thoughts are the water rushing and flowing all around you. The water continues to flow and the thoughts will continue to think. But you are the stone, steady and still. It is not your job to stop the water from moving, and it is not your job to stop your thoughts from thinking. It is simply our practice to remain steady and still amidst it all. Gently begin to wiggle the fingers and toes as you awaken the body and begin to deepen the breath. Bringing the arms up overhead. You can stretch once more for a good morning stretch as you wake up for the second time today, rolling to whichever side calls to you. And from here, make your way up to a seated pose. Your eyes can be closed or a soft gaze. Once in your seated pose, I invite you to recall the intention that you set for today's practice and take that with you through the rest of your day, maybe into the rest of your week. And from here, I invite you to create a sense of gratitude. Gratitude for your body, for what it does and continues to do every single day, conscious or unconscious. Gratitude for yourself, for taking an hour out of your day just to practice of yoga, connect with your body, and just do something that's just for you. And thank you for joining me. I really appreciate hosting these classes for you, and I hope you enjoy them. I sure do. So if you have any requests, let me know. Otherwise, have a great day and stay hydrated. Bye.